Number 7. Keegan Barnes. During the pandemic lockdown on June the 10th of 2021, friends Keegan Barnes and Tony Butler were drinking at the former's home in the town of Thornaby, England. An unspecified argument erupted between the two women, both in their 20s, reportedly related to illegal substances which they'd also been taking at the time. According to Barnes, Butler had dragged her out of bed by her hair while carrying a kitchen knife. The latter allegedly threw her on the floor but dropped the knife as she punched and kicked her. Barnes grabbed the blade and stabbed her friend twice in the calf. One of the knife strikes severed a main vein, and as Butler was bleeding out, Barnes left the apartment. CCTV captured her buying chips at a local convenience store with her friend's credit card and while only wearing her nightie. Butler passed away from her injuries, and the investigation that followed gradually dismantled Barnes's self-defense claim and indicated that she'd been the main aggressor in the fight. Moreover, the police determined that her concern had been to primarily conceal her actions rather than render assistance to her friend. She pleaded not guilty to murder and was ultimately cleared of it, but a jury did find her guilty of manslaughter. In 2022, she was sentenced to over 8 years in prison. Number 6. Taylor Smith. 18-year-old Taylor Smith was with her friend Jordan Holgerson, also in her late teens, at Washington's Molten Falls Bridge on August 7th of 2018. In a clip that since went viral, Holgerson was standing on the edge of the bridge and hesitating to jump into the water below. Others in her group were recorded telling the team that she didn't have to do it, but Smith kept taunting her. "No, I won't go in," Holgerson told the group. Moments before Smith forcefully pushed her from behind. Holgerson's limbs flayed through the air as she dropped roughly 60 feet and impacted the water face first at an awkward angle. Medical experts later determined that given the distance of her fall, the water would have been akin to concrete. Holgerson was left with life-threatening injuries that included 6 broken ribs, an injured trachea and esophagus, in addition to punctured lungs. She experienced severe breathing difficulties upon being pulled from the water and remembered thinking she was going to die. It would take months for her to fully heal from the injuries. Holgerson's mother later argued that Smith hadn't checked on her daughter, neither at the scene of the incident nor in the period that followed, and only apologized via text. Many of those commenting on the viral clip argued that Smith should be held criminally responsible. She was arrested and charged with reckless endangerment, to which she pleaded guilty in 2019. It resulted in a sentence of 2 days in jail and 38 days on a work crew. She was also ordered to pay Holgerson $300 and cease all communication with her for 2 years. Number 5. Mustafa Magdi's engagement party. An engagement party in the Alexandria Governorate of Egypt ended in tragedy on May the 25th of 2022 after the groom-to-be was fatally shot. The victim, identified as 21-year-old barber Mustafa Magdi, was being held aloft and carried by his friends to the celebrations. Much like with other Middle Eastern countries, special occasions in Egypt are also sometimes marked with celebratory gunfire. In the context of weddings and engagements, it may be interpreted as a show of force, highlighting the union of two families. There have been a number of fatal incidents related to the practice across the Middle East, but also in the US, Europe, and South America, in which people were struck by falling or stray bullets. Magdi's friends carried him on their shoulders as they headed to a beauty salon, where his bride was having her makeup done. The plan was to wait for the woman and then head to the party's venue together, but following a rattle of gunfire, Magdi collapsed to the ground. He was left in critical condition after being hit by a bullet and passed away shortly thereafter at Mabaret Al-Asra Garb Hospital. Other companions confirmed that the shooting had been caused by one of the friends recklessly aiming his weapon during the celebrations, but his identity wasn't disclosed. Number 4. Joshua Davis. Welsh teenagers Joshua Davis and Rebecca Aylward from Aberkenfig near Bridgend had been friends for some years before they briefly dated in 2009. The relationship ended after a few months, but Aylward was reportedly thrilled when Davis contacted her the following October, asking that they meet up again. Her mother was approving of Davis as he was an academically gifted young man who hailed from a church-going family. As recounted by Aylward's mother, the teen woke up early on October the 23rd of 2010 to do her makeup and put on clothes she'd bought the day before in anticipation for the rendezvous. Later on, she and Davis were in secluded woodland. It was there that he attacked Aylward from behind and tried but failed to break her neck. He then grabbed a rugby ball-sized rock from the ground and repeatedly smashed it against Aylward's head, cracking her skull. He abandoned her face down on the wet forest floor where she succumbed to her injuries. In the killing's aftermath, he took a friend, only identified as Boy B, to see Aylward's body and tell him about what he'd done. A search for Aylward was launched when she failed to return home, during the course of which Davis updated his Facebook status to give himself an alibi. Once the teenager's body was found and her whereabouts were retraced, Davis and Boy B were arrested. The former tried to pin the murder on the latter, but his statements were rapidly dismantled by investigators. It emerged that he'd been boasting to friends online for months that he would kill Aylward and contemplated various methods including poisoning, drowning, or throwing her off a cliff. Davis's friends encouraged him, and one of them even joked about buying him breakfast if he followed through on the threats. 2 days before the murder, the friend received a message from Davis that read, "Don't say anything, but you may just owe me a breakfast." He was eventually found guilty of the killing and sentenced to a minimum of 14 years in prison. But the friends who'd nudged him towards making his twisted intention a reality weren't charged. Number 3. Takia Strickland, Armoni Coffer, and Jasmine Donald. In February of 2015, Mariah Pointer and 3 of her best friends were playing a drinking game at a home in Atlanta, Georgia. At some point during the get-together, one of the other women accused 23-year-old Pointer of sitting on her whopper, even though in reality she'd only sat on the wrapper. The trio charged the woman and began ruthlessly beating her as she slipped in and out of consciousness. Pointer was dragged across the room by her hair as Takia Strickland, Armoni Coffer, and Jasmine Donald took turns punching and stomping on her. Others in attendance, who were identified as the attacker's boyfriends, recorded the incident on their cell phones but didn't intervene. One of them was seen in the background of the video as he sat on the couch while holding a small child. The footage was subsequently uploaded to various sites including worldstarhiphop.com, which is known for similarly shocking videos. Pointer claimed that the beatdown lasted for at least 2 hours before the trio ultimately allowed her to call her aunt to come pick her up. Pointer later uploaded photos of her severely swollen face online. The beating left her with facial fractures, a concussion, and 2 cracked teeth. Strickland, Coffer, and Donald were arrested on charges of aggravated battery, aggravated assault, and false imprisonment, which was likely to result in all of them spending time in jail. Today's topic was requested by Canna231. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Zachary Woodcock. In January of 2018, Zachary Woodcock was celebrating his 21st birthday at his Bavarian House Apartments home in Merrill, Michigan. Also joining the festivities was the man's best friend and fellow gun enthusiast, 21-year-old Richard Skillman. During the party, Woodcock led him and a few others to his bedroom to show them a handgun. The firearm went off as Woodcock was handling it, and Skillman was struck in the chest by a bullet, immediately becoming unresponsive. Realizing what he'd done, Woodcock left the apartment and a second gunshot rang out. Others at the address then discovered that he'd turned the gun on himself. Skillman died at the scene while Woodcock succumbed to his gunshot wound at a local hospital the following day. The authorities reported that the 2 men, both of whom had worked as truck drivers, owned multiple firearms, and also remarked upon the ever-present danger of handling such weapons while under the influence of alcohol. Number 1. Anna Bonner. In April of 2022, Englishwoman Anna Bonner, aged 40, was called greedy, devious, and manipulative by a judge at Liverpool Crown Court after leading a lengthy fraud campaign against her best friend, Susan Hughes. The 2 women had met in the late 1990s, and Hughes was even the leading bridesmaid at Bonner's wedding. They'd constantly go out together in Merseyside, and during a night on the town, Hughes started talking to a club bouncer named Stee. The relationship never went beyond that of acquaintances, but Hughes wanted more and was thrilled when Bonner later revealed that the man was her uncle, Steve Lucas. After a few years, Lucas reached out to Hughes out of the blue and arranged a rendezvous in Liverpool, for which he never showed up. The man then claimed that he'd been sent to jail and needed money as he was being harassed by other prisoners. Hughes gave up the cash. In 2015, Hughes learned that Lucas was in the US where he'd been diagnosed with cancer. Over the course of roughly 5 years, Hughes continued funding what she believed was her love interest's life-saving treatment, ultimately giving up nearly $150,000 of the savings she'd gathered while working as a nurse. Throughout that time, Bonner had been confirming Lucas's reports and fueling her best friend's crush, encouraging her to send letters, cards, and gifts, which were reciprocated by the man. Then in early 2020, she pressured Hughes to transfer more money, claiming she was in the US taking care of Lucas. By that point, Hughes had nothing left and had also worked herself to the point of suffering a breakdown. Bonner's web of lies began to unravel when Hughes and a friend checked the woman's social media and discovered she was in Skelmersdale, not the US. Further investigation revealed Steve Lucas didn't exist, and Bonner's ex-husband told Hughes he'd found a bundle of cards and gifts she'd sent him. Using a middleman and manipulation, Bonner had fabricated Lucas and used Hughes' money to fund her lifestyle. The mother of three eventually pleaded guilty to fraud by false representation and was jailed for 28 months. Thanks for watching. What is the worst thing a friend has ever done to you? Let us know in the comments section below.